Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's ice dye a gravity spiral. I have my shirt turned inside out and I'm using a washable marker to make a mark on the shirt where I'd like to start the center of the spiral. For this design, I'm going to place it in the lower portion of the shirt. To spiral the shirt, I'm using a pair of locking tweezers and a microwave splatter guard. This splatter guard has got a hole in the middle, so I'm going to take my locking tweezers, attach them to the shirt, and then I'm going to place the splatter guard with the flat side down over the top of the locking tweezers. As I twist the tweezers, it's going to begin to spiral the shirt. I'm going to use my other hand to straighten those folds and to form a few extra folds in the shirt. I'm not going to spiral this entire shirt. I want to leave part of the shirt untied or unspiraled and allow that part to be gravity dyed. Once I partially spiral my shirt, I'm going to take it outside to do the gravity dye process. I like to do my gravity dyes outside. That way I don't have to be quite as concerned about making a mess from any of the dye that's coming off of the shirt. For this shirt, I have a metal shelving unit which I'm going to place underneath my trees. And I'm going to go ahead and dye this shirt while it's still damp. I'm also going to use some of Dye Spin's Dark Horse dyes for this shirt. Once I partially spiraled my shirt, I didn't put any rubber bands or anything on there to tie it. I just brought it outside and I'm placing the spiral portion on top of the shelving unit, and I'm going to allow the other portion of the shirt that I didn't spiral to hang over the edge. Like I mentioned, all the dyes that I'm going to use are Dye Spin's Dark Horse dyes. I'm going to start by applying sultry to two areas on the shirt that are across from each other. I'm trying not to apply too much dye. I want to allow an opportunity for the dye to move and to split. So one of the disadvantages of doing the gravity dyes outside is the wind has a tendency to blow my dye around. Where I live, it's windy literally all the time. It's very unusual to get a day that does not have wind. So because of that, this technique usually ends up with quite a few dye speckles. For me, on this style or design of a shirt, I don't really mind the speckles. For the most part, I think they add to the design, and I try to use colors that will work well together because as they're being gravity dyed, the colors are going to mix together anyway. So I don't mind if the dye moves just a little bit in the wind and I have a few speckles. If you definitely hate speckles and want to put your dye in really specific spaces or places, this is probably not the technique that you're going to like. The next color that I'm going to use is Elysian, and I'm going to use that toward the area that's going to be gravity dyed. I'm going to leave some white space between the Elysian and the sultry, so I'm not going to fill in every little area with dye. And I'm not going to go very far down on the shirt with the Elysian either. The last color that I'm going to use is Candy Pop, and I'm going to put that in the one remaining large white space. So this is all the dye that I'm going to apply to the shirt. Then over the top of the dye, I'm going to add another sprinkle of dry soda ash. I'm going to add quite a bit of ice to the top of this shirt, and I want to make sure that all my original soda ash isn't flushed out of the shirt. I need that soda ash to raise the pH so that the dye will bond properly with the fabric. Then I'm going to add a couple of pretty large chunks of ice on top of the shirt. When I do gravity dyes, I like to find any container that I can possibly make ice in and make larger chunks. It stays on the shirt a little bit better, and I think it's just a little bit easier to work with. It doesn't melt quite as quickly in the really hot weather where I live. For now, I'm just adding 2 chunks on, and they're not coming out of the container very well, so I'm just placing the container upside down on top of the shirt. I've included some process photos to show you how it went, how the ice melted, the dye moved, and what the shirt looked like throughout the process. I came back and added a couple more larger chunks of ice to the shirt. Then I just allowed it to process. But before the ice could completely melt, we had a large thunderstorm that was rolling in. So I went out and I gathered up the shirt. I slid a clear plastic cutting board, which you can purchase from the Dollar Tree dollar store, underneath the spiral portion of the shirt so that I didn't mess up the design. Then I placed the cutting board and the shirt inside of a large plastic tub or tote, one that's meant to go underneath a bed. And inside of that tote, I have a metal rack so that it keeps the shirt up off of the bottom. I placed the shirt in there, just left the ice on top, and allowed the shirt to go ahead and process. As you can see, once the rest of the ice melted, it pulled that dye all the way through to the end of the shirt. Even though I didn't have it fully inclined like I did before, it had kind of already started that movement process, and it just continued on pulling that dye down. So after about 24 hours, I went ahead and rinsed out the shirt. I started by rinsing in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I warmed the water to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Like normal, I went ahead and soaked the shirt. I added some really hot water to my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and allowed the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one looks pretty cool. Definitely lots of color splits. So the main red color in the shirt is the sultry, and that kind of purple color is the purpley blue color is the Elysian, and then the one swath in between the two reds, which is kind of magenta or hot pink, that's the Candy Pop. I really like the yellow color, which is bleeding out from the sultry. I think that looks really cool. And then Elysian just has so many different colors in it. The color splits that are coming out of that are partially blue. It looks like some pinks, of course purple, just a variety of colors. In my Candy Pop, normally I will see some like turquoise color, and there is some underneath or that is showing through. It's not hugely prominent on this shirt though. And of course the top portion of the shirt is all gravity dyed. It's colors that have come out of the dye and traveled down the shirt. The photos I took of the shirt laying flat, I think are a better representation of the colors in the shirt. I had a hard time getting the top portion of the shirt to show up properly on the mannequin. I think the lights I was using were kind of washing it out a little bit and making it look lighter than it really is. I think this shirt has so much color and the colors are so bright, it almost looks like some sort of a circus explosion. And you can see, because I've added some close-ups of it, some of the speckling that I had on the shirt. But like I said, I think it's just kind of a confetti effect on this shirt, and I think it kind of adds to the design. And if you remember, I didn't use a whole lot of dye on this shirt, but I have this much color on the shirt. So overall, I think it looks really pretty. I think it is a cool design. I love the gravity dyes because I love the dye movement. I love the uniqueness of each gravity dyed shirt. I mean, I could line up and probably do 5 of these at the same time and they would all look very different based upon how much each dye color moved. And I think that makes it really fun. That's one of the things I love about the gravity dyes. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed this video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.